If you're driving anywhere in this country, you weren't smart yesterday and you're dumb today. That's not the way it works. Dumb guy was dumb yesterday, dumb today. Smart guy was smart yesterday, smart today. In football, it's the same thing. Coaches don't go from great to terrible in a week. Opponents change. The health of your players changes. Did Jim Mora get dumb last Saturday at the Rose Bowl and he was really smart in the first 4 games? No, you are what you are in life. Things around you will change. That's why you have to create identities, and we'll get to that in a second. But most fans are like, this coach is great, this coach is terrible. There are very few A coaches, Belichick, Saban, Urban Meyer. There's very few D and F coaches, Brady Hoke, Ron Zook, Rich Kotite. Most coaches are B+ to C-. They really are. Most people in life are B+ to C-. Very few Fs, very few hardened criminals, very few geniuses. Life's full of B+ and C-. That's like 95% of the people, 95% of the doctors, 95% of the attorneys, 95% of the teachers, 95% of radio hosts, and 95% of coaches. Steve Sarkisian isn't an A, and he's not a D. He won more games than any USC coach ever in his first year last year off sanctions. They won a bowl game. He had the #1 recruiting class. They looked pretty great last week against Arizona State. He's not dumb today, nor is he terrible. Coaches aren't. You're not. Jim Mora last week wasn't suddenly a lousy coach. People don't change overnight, week to week. Opponents and game plans do. But what you have to do, coach, business, law firm, grocer, news channel, comedian, you have to create an identity. And the reason you have to create an identity is not only for the consumer. Hey, I like organic food. Let's go to Whole Foods. Hey, I like discount airlines. Let's go to Southwest. I want to stay at a nice hotel. Let's go to Four Seasons. You create an identity not just for the consumer. Hey, I like this. They offer this. You create an identity for your employees. Uh-oh, there's crisis. Who are we? Because life is like that. Even in Hollywood, Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, they don't hit home runs. What they've created is a brand and an identity, so after a flop, they can do another movie and get another offer. Whole Foods has a bad quarter. They're still the #1 organic grocery store chain in America. That's the key. Fox News, I say Fox News. You think conservative opinions. I say MSNBC. They started with news. Then it was liberal opinions. Now they're going back to news. What are they? Steve Jobs, when he went to Apple, you're crazy. He said, so was Einstein. Think differently. We're crazy here. Then when Steve Jobs offers a product that maybe is not as good as you think, we say, well, they are crazy. They're trying to change the world. They are thinking differently. Their next product will be great. So you can go to your board and say, we're crazy here. We're going to have flops. As a coach, it can't all be about wins. Because unless you're at Ohio State, you're going to lose 2 or 3 times. You have to sell to the consumer, this is what we are, and sell to your staff, your AD, your boosters, your players. This is what we are. Let's go back to it. What is USC? Sark's problem isn't the loss. Sark's problem is going into Notre Dame, Utah, and Cal, they don't have an identity. What are they? Does he know? Does his athletic director know? Does his offensive line know? They don't know. It's not just about the wins. Here's what their identity at USC is after losing last night as a 17-point favorite. Their identity this morning is they've been double-digit favorites against Power 5 teams. In 6 games, they've lost 4. Their identity is you never know what the hell you're getting. They're great against Arizona State. They're awful last year in the second half against Nebraska. What are they half to half? What are they series to series? If they'd have lost to Washington last night, he's 12-6 in 18 games. If he would have lost his first 5, won the rest, lost last night, but they had established themselves, we are going to run the football for 250 yards a game, you'd say, you know what? They didn't play well last night, but they'll rebound because this is what they are. Whole Foods had a bad quarter. This is what they are, though. Go look at Steve Jobs. Look at Ellen, who knew her brand. Likeable, complimentary, funny. Then she went off brand. I'm going to go to American Idol and criticize kids. Bombed. She went back to her brand. Know what you are. Identify what you are. It's not the loss. Jim Mora lost last week as a huge favorite. But right now, UCLA football has an identity. They're tough. If I said to you in the Pac-12 last decade, 2 best programs, most consistent, last 10 years, Stanford, Oregon, do you think it's a coincidence they have the 2 best brands? Oregon's explosive, Stanford's physical. That's what Jim Harbaugh's done. I'm not impressed with 4-1. I'm impressed with what Harbaugh has created in 5 games. They are physical. We are going to run the ball. You're not going to stop us. That's the key. For Steve Sarkisian, it's not the loss. You're 18 games in. You've got some 12-6, won a bowl game, number 1 recruiting class. But going into Notre Dame, Utah, and Cal, you don't know what you are. That's scary. Because life is full of crises. Just like a family. You're going to have arguments with your wife. Your kids are going to call you a jerk. But if you have values, morals, a sense of purpose, a sense of togetherness and community, you weather those storms. If you don't, it's chaos. USC's loss isn't the issue. The issue is going forward. I don't think Steve Sarkisian even knows what his team is. That's scary because the schedule for the next 3 weeks, Utah and Cal and Notre Dame are a lot better than everybody or most people thought. Here was Sark, and the climate's changed now. Used to be you got a long time. You got 4 years. Charlie Strong and Steve Sarkisian are 18 games in. And this is a question last night Steve Sarkisian had to deal with.
Sir, do you feel like with the off-field issue you had and now this result, you're coaching for your job?
Not at all.
We're already into, are you coaching for your job questions? That's how the world has changed.